Let's talk about the skeletal system. Let's get going on thinking about bones. So when you think about bones, right, we're now finally in the skeletal system. When you think about bones in your body, what comes to mind? Just in general, when you think about bones, when you dream about bones, what do you dream about? They're tough, hard, right? What else comes to mind when you think about bones? Many shapes, good, right? We have very large shapes like the femur in my hand, to tiny, tiny little bones in your ear that help you hear. What else comes to mind?
We were thinking of chicken, but when we didn't see it.
Chicken. Chicken bone. Okay. Making me hungry now. Okay, some wings, right? What else? Do you think about the fact that the inside of your bones is hollow? Right, it's probably not the first thing that comes to mind. And the other thing is that inside your bones, what's going on? Blood cells are being produced, right? So let me just share with you that word for the process. So the making of blood, the process is called hemopoiesis. Okay, hemopoiesis. Or you'll also see, and it's the same thing, hematopoiesis. So hemo or hemato both mean blood, and poiesis is the formation of or the production of. Right? So hemopoiesis or hematopoiesis, they are interchangeable terms. So that's what's going on, right, in your blood inside. Now I want to walk around and show you this femur. This is a femur. That's what's showing up on the screen right now. And in my hands, you can appreciate that when you cut into a bone, this is a dried up old human femur, that you have on the inside what's called spongy bone. Now in the lab, when we looked at bone under the microscope, we were only looking at the outer hard layer. That outer hard layer is called compact bone. It's the compact bone that has the osteons and the canaliculi and the lamellae, right? But inside the bone, you have a totally different kind of bone called spongy bone. And you can see why it gets its name, right? It looks like some sort of sponge you would buy at Bath and Body, or Body and Bath, wherever that store is. But it feels really cool, right? And it would be great for taking out those rough spots on your elbow and on the sole of your foot. It would have the same effect as a nice sponge. Especially down here, you can really feel that, right? And what I think is really cool about this thing is that it comes with a handle. So if you know of a source of human femurs, I don't ask questions, I don't know where this came from, right? But it comes with a handle. It would be fantastic, right, as a back scratch, right, in the shower. So if you know of a source of human femurs, I think we could go together on Shark Tank. And we've got some here, right? This is a really cool product. Right? I think they'd be all excited about these. So if you know of a few extra femurs, right, the production might get kind of high, so you got to have a lot of friends who are willing to give up their legs. But we look at this and we realize, right, that what we're seeing is just the outside edge. So just the outside edge of the bone is the compact bone, just this outer layer. That's it. The inside is all filled up with this spongy bone. And that arrangement isn't osteons and canaliculi and lamellae. Instead, it's said to be trabeculae. Now, trabeculae is just a word that means this webby, spongy-looking matrix. And within that, in your bones, you would have bone marrow. And bone marrow, I'll show you in a moment, is kind of a fatty-like substance. And it's in that bone marrow that the blood cells are being made, right? That we have hematopoiesis occurring. Now, I want to show you also what a freshly cut bone looks like. As we went to the butcher and we got some bones and we cut it open. And as you look inside the bone, you realize that it's not a big empty space, but it's really filled with fat. Okay, it's really filled with Crisco. Now this is that what we call yellow bone marrow, and it's not making this yellow bone marrow is not hematopoietic. It is not making blood cells. This is basically fat. This is what the dog gets excited about when you throw them a bone, right? Getting down to the middle, getting down to the fat. This is why you put a bone in your soup, right, to give it flavor, so this fat comes out and gives your soup some lovely flavor. So we recognize that inside the bone is just fat. It's Crisco, and there's more of it up in here, in this marrow area. So it's all over the place. You can find this fatty stuff all over. You know, I'll leave this up and you can play with it later if you want to do that. So again, when you look at this bone, the inside spongy area, if you took that probe, you would see that this is kind of this trabecular area, this spongy bone, and all filling up all that space is this gravy stuff, this Crisco, this marrow. Now we've also got this image, and you've been introduced to this. This is your compact bone, and we have a model of this. I always call this the birthday cake model. It looks like a slice of cake, does it not? Right? It looks like a slice of cake, and this cake even comes with candles, and the candles are lit. Okay? So what you're really looking at here is just that compact bone, that outer layer. This is one huge bone, right? And this is the outer layer. This is the compact bone with the osteons, and then this begins the spongy bone on the inside. And you can appreciate that this spongy bone has all these osteons, these cylindrical arrangements. And remember, these osteons are cylinders that are going the longitudinal, the long axis of the bone. So this is a long bone going this way. It's big and round. And the layers have been pulled out to show us the lamellae. You can see that there are these layers, the lamellae, and then the little cavities are the lacuna. And those lacunae would contain the osteocytes. And we can see even the little cracks representing the canaliculi. This is a birthday cake at the picnic because there's ants all over it. And those little ants represent basically the body of the ant represents the lacuna and the osteocyte in the cell itself. And the little legs of the ants represent the canaliculi, or the little canals that run between the cells. Also on this model, if I tip it, you can see that this is a central canal, right? It's got a blood vessel in it. So this is a central canal over here on the side. Here's another central canal. Here's another central canal. Right, they're running the long axis of the bone through the middle of the osteon. Last week, when you were looking at the 6 structures of bone, there was one on the bottom I said, don't worry about. Volkmann's canals. You can't see it on histology, but I want to show it to you now. So now I'm showing you the 7th structure that you need to know in bone. And that is this perpendicular canal that's going from one central canal to another. This is a Volkmann's canal. And what it's doing, I mean, there's blood vessels in this canal, and it's connecting the blood flow in one osteon to the blood flow in another osteon. So we see that the bone is an incredibly vascular tissue. Right? Blood flow everywhere. And the cartoon reminds you that not only do you have blood vessels going through these canals, but you also have nerves. So you can see red, blue, and yellow, right, traveling through these central canals. And this would be a Volkmann's canal here, right, that I'm marking. This would be a Volkmann's canal here, right, connecting one central canal to another. You can also appreciate on this picture, this is the interface where the spongy bone starts, right? Right, you can see that trabecular spongy appearance on the edge. And I think that's about all I need to mention about this. If we took this tissue and took a small slice of it and looked at it under the microscope, this is what you would see. And we already went through this in the quiz. You know what the structures are, the histology issues. So on this, you should be able to identify 6 things. Okay? And then when you look back at the model, you should be able to identify the 7th thing, which are the Volkmann's canals. So if you look up on the board, it tells you that for next week's quiz, know the 7 bone microanatomy. Another way of saying that is the 7 bone histology structures. So that's everything we've talked about that you're quizzed on, plus Volkmann's canals today. Other thing on the list for next week, it says number 4, long bone anatomy. So this slide now is your long bone anatomy. And if I take a look at it, the one on the right is in fact just a cartoon of this same femur I have in my hand. And what you notice, things that are labeled, is that there is a long shaft on this bone. The shaft of the bone, of any long bone, is called the diaphysis. Dia means across. Like, I'm going to take the diameter of that circle. So diameter, diameter, the distance across. And diaphysis is the distance. Physis means growth. So diaphysis is the growth across. And the way I think about this term is that not only do bones grow longer during your life, but certainly from a 2-year-old to a 10-year-old, the bones also grow larger in diameter. And so the shaft, the diaphysis, will grow bigger in diameter. The two ends of the bone are called the epiphysis.